What's up, guys? It is Dan from FightWave, and today I'm joined by somebody I'm incredibly excited to speak with. A regular on your FightWave schedule programming. He faces Gustavo Ballart on August 2nd in a fight for the ages for the interim strawweight world championship over at One Championship, a belt that was rightfully his. But of course, the drama surrounding the second Joshua Pacio fight will be avenged come, in due time, very, very, very soon with a win over Gustavo Ballart. I am privileged to be joined by one of the greatest 125ers in the planet, the monkey god, the man himself, Jarred Brooks. Jarred, thank you so much for your time, brother. It's always a privilege to speak with you. And first and foremost, my man, how are you feeling?
Oh, I'm great, man. Just getting the final steps into this camp and just trained with Austin Bashi, training with some killers. So yeah, I'm very prepared and happy that I got this matchup and super happy that I get to go on FightWave again and talk to you, my brother.
Definitely. And you mentioned the name Austin Bashi. Of course, fans of FightWave will know who that is, considering we just spoke to him ahead of his Contender Series fight. I got to ask you, just in terms of the quality of training with that young stud, he's one of the best young fighters, and I know he moved up to 145. What's the rounds been like with him, and just getting to see the future of Michigan MMA right before your very eyes?
Well, I got to see the future of Michigan MMA before my eyes when he was like 12 years old. First time I ever went into Warrior Way, and I got to see him and wrestle with him for the first time, and I was just like, oh yeah, this guy is gonna be somewhere in the fight world because he loved it. That's all he wanted to do as a 12-year-old, and it just reminded me kind of myself a little bit. So I do see Austin surpassing whatever I have in my mixed martial arts career. But I wish him best of luck when it comes down to this Contender Series fight. I know that he's going against a Sean O'Malley motherfucker. So, this is one for the Midwest.
No, yeah, definitely. I can't wait for that fight against Tommy McMillan, and I think it's just going to be a great fight on the Contender Series. And to get to just, of course, what is a phenomenal matchup between you and Gustavo Ballart. It's a fight that when you talk about getting back on track, and I know for you, of course, the fight against Joshua Pacio, a very wide range of emotions coming off of that second fight. Getting back on track, the underdog mentality has always been in association with Jarred Brooks. Whatever, I know you're a man of faith. You talk about whatever God throws your way, you go up and rise up to the occasion twice as hard. And I know for you, this fight, a fight that you're looking forward to a lot. Talk to me a little bit about the fight and just being able to get back on track against such a game opponent in the form of Gustavo.
Yeah, when you go against a set opponent for almost like 2 years, there's no incubation. There's no, getting better. You're just focused on that guy. So in this camp, I definitely got to incubate a little bit and understand my martial arts a little bit better and really settle down and understand myself as a person as well. So you guys are gonna see a different Jarred Brooks when it comes down to fighting and when it comes down to outside of the circle and ring as well.
No, yeah, absolutely. And one thing that I know stood out to me a lot, of course, is just that second fight with Joshua Pacio, a fight that a lot of people were looking forward to in Qatar. Just a fight that for the fans, it would have been unfinished business for him, and then for you, of course, the ability to put the X on the dot and just be able to move on to the next opponent and keep building that resume. But unfortunately, the circumstances that be, the powers that be, that wasn't the case. And I know for you, a wide range of emotions felt in that fight and post after that fight. Talk to me a little bit about how you're feeling now that you're a couple months removed from that fight, and also just the situation in your eyes and how you kind of understood it while it was happening.
I understood that the rules were the rule sets, but I picked the guy up and dropped him down just like how I do in practice. And guys don't get knocked out; they land on their feet, which led me to believe that Joshua didn't want to land on his feet because he has a torn ACL in that fight. He told me right before that fight he had a torn ACL. So, but I would never purpose. I've had countless mixed martial arts fights and never have I tried to, illegally do anything, right? I did grab Figueiredo's shorts one time, but that's the only thing that I've done illegal besides besides that. But getting the chance to come back and show the world what I'm about, and that was a crazy thing that happened, but getting to show the world that I am the best strawweight and best flyweight in the world, period, in one championship. That's all that matters to me. And it doesn't matter upon names. It doesn't matter upon trash talk. It doesn't matter nothing matters except for going out and getting a $50,000 bonus in this fight.
No, yeah, definitely. And in that fight, of course, like you said, that situation, I feel like just an awkward situation in the fight game, maybe a 0.01% chance in an actual fight of it happening, and this just happened to be that 0.01% chance. But on top of that, just I feel like after the fight, it's always about how you react, and I don't think we've ever seen a classier response to a situation like this, quite like the way you handled it. And I know for you, emotions all over the place after that. I mean, from heartbreak to frustration to, of course, looking to what's ahead or optimism. I know for you, just feeling a lot of emotions, but the way that you handled yourself was so classy. And I feel like a lot of other fighters, when they look at a loss, they could look to you and seeing not even necessarily a loss, but a circumstantial thing in the fight game, how they should handle themselves. So where do you kind of get that mindset and ability to have that level of self-control given such a horrific situation?
Well, dude, this is the fight game. Anything can happen. And if you go in there with the expectations that everything is just gonna be 100% good and you're gonna walk out spot clean and nothing's gonna happen, you need to get in another, career force. But I I go into these fights and I'm just like, I'm prepared for the worst. I'm prepared to die on my shield tonight. It doesn't matter. So, um, you know, to answer your question, going in there, there's no emotion. There's nothing that can counterplay the feeling of when you're actually in there feeling another person's energy that wants to kill you.
For me, I know you mentioned just not necessarily the circumstances or who is in front of you, but just the opportunity to perform and on that given day show that you are the best 125er in the world is such an important thing for you. And I feel like when you talk about just one championships kind of guys that they've got right now, despite the circumstances, I feel like for you, Jared, there's a lot of options open, whether it's Gustavo Ballard, this upcoming fight, and then after that, maybe a Pacio trilogy, and then even after that, I know you were eyeing with a win over Pacio, maybe Mighty Mounts. There's a lot of options for you in one championship right now, but even also abroad. So talk to me about just your ability to assess those options, not look too far ahead, but be excited for what's in front of you in form of so many different challenges.
Yeah, I think that, the Mikey fight, grappling match, whatever, that's a big thing that helped me get better as a mixed martial artist, right? So finding that fine tune in that realm is all that matters. And like I said, I am coming into this place to be humbled, bro. Like I want to get better, and the only way to get better is if you get your ass beat. And I have got my ass beat plenty of times in the practice room, and I still do. But I'm looking forward to actually somebody trying to take me out and me be like, oh shit, I've got to reassess my mixed martial arts game.
Yeah, definitely. And when you look at just even, 125ers abroad in the UFC and internationally, I feel like Jared Brooks, when we talk about you as a talent, we spoke about it last time, we're speaking about it now. You simply do not get the credit you deserve for the body of work that you have amassed at only 31 years of age. And I feel like right now, entering, I think, a prime above a prime, in my opinion. I feel like we've yet to see the best version of Jared Brooks because you level up every fight and you look better than the last fight. Talk to me a little bit about, like you mentioned, that element of self improvement and just wanting to go in there, prove you're the best in the world, and seeing that kind of respect slowly, again, trickling into the play and finally, little by little, getting that recognition.
Yeah, man. I mean, real G's move in silence like lasagna. And I really do think that I have acclimated enough to where it's like it's a make it or break it kind of deal, right? So with fans at least, and I'm to the point where I just don't care about fans. I care about just going out and doing and having a great performance and proving to myself that I can get better each and every fight. And if the fans they start to, accumulate because of that, then that's what it is. There's not going to be any more trash talk. I'm not trash talking anybody. I respect every one of my martial artists fellows that are around me. So, Gustavo Ballart, the dude's a Cuban Olympian that has, made a good streak in mixed martial arts and in one championship. So I'm super excited to show and get to showcase what I have been working on, and he's a completely different opponent than I'm used to fighting. He's a smaller guy. I know that I fought Bokang Masinyane, but man, I think that I can show people that I have a completely different style, and people people have different styles for different characteristics on their body types. So if I was to fight Sean O'Malley, I'm gonna probably try to take him down and then hit him up against the cage, right? This guy, I'm gonna fight him like Sean O'Malley. You're gonna see some very cool things coming out of the woodworks.
No, yeah, definitely. And when you talk about, just having a layered performance, and right now I want to ask you your thoughts because there was a big thing that happened in the MMA world, which I know a lot of fans, when they were talking about it, a lot of people didn't know who he was. But of course, for the real fans that do know, that they keep up with Risen, knowing the UFC signed Kai Asakura to their promotion, and that's a guy, you bring him in and immediately that's a guy you can insert in the title picture. And I feel like, when we talk about 125 in the division and how talented the fighters are both inside and outside the UFC, it feels like you can take any champion from any promotion on any given day and have a winner in any fight from 1 to 15. It doesn't matter. I want to ask you just your thoughts on the signing, of course, and let's say, down the line, maybe a year or two from now, or whenever the timing is right, the UFC approaches Jared Brooks and asks him, hey, we want you to come back to the UFC. We think you have a talent that, is rarely paralleled in the wrestling department and grappling department at 125. We want you back in the UFC. What would your reaction be to that? And just to 125 as a whole right now?
I think that Kai Asakura, I've fought on cards with him in Risen, so I have a lot of respect for him and congratulations to him on getting that signing. And he might be actually making less than what he was in Rising, so he might be taking a little hit there. But I mean, as far as Western viewership, he might blow up, but he might actually be made an example as well. You see a lot of other champions that come to other organizations, they skip fast. Michael Chandler is a good exception just because he talks so well and people love him so much. Kai, he's lovable, don't get me wrong, but he could be made an example in the UFC. So I hope at the end of the day that the UFC actually looks at me like that because I know Mick loved me, and I know another matchmaker just didn't. So it was just style, characteristics. But I've changed my style a lot, and I'm definitely a different fighter. But at the end of the day, I think that the 125-pound division is pretty messed up because they have a bunch of weight bullies in there that can't make weight. A lot of them will make weight for 2-3 years, and then after that they want to move up to another weight class. It's just like, no, bro, you're not a real true flyweight. You're trying to cut as much weight as possible for this amount of time so you can make this amount of money. I don't respect it, to be honest, because it's like, oh, okay, when I grew up, I was putting coins in my singlet and I was trying to go up weight classes to go against the best of the best in the world, and that's what I want to do. I know that I'm small, but at the same time, I would fight anybody up to 45 if they said it. You know what I mean? So, the UFC one championship. I love one championship. They treated me very very well. But at the same time, if times change and the UFC does call me, I would love to go in and bear that challenge up against whoever their best 125 pounders are because I'm not really worried about their 25 pounders right now. They have Tatsuyatsu Tiara. I don't know if I said his name right. Yeah, Tetsuro Tiara. I think that the guy is great. I think that he has a lot of yeah, I think that he might be the future of that 125-pound division. Mohammed Mokayev, he's talking about trying to be the youngest world champion and then retiring. I'm just like, what? Okay. I don't respect that. I don't respect Manel Cape. The reason why I don't respect Manel Cape is because the guy keeps on talking and keeps on talking. He did what he did in Ryzen. I will give him that. But you lost to two 125 pounders, right? And then you're using your mouth and you're missing weight. So you're using your mouth at this point to just keep you in the realm of existence. So those are the only people that I see that are like good in the 125-pound division that are in that realm in the next 2 or 3 years. So who knows, man? They bring these Uzbekistanians, they bring these different kind of guys, but when they get to the West, it's a different kind of feel, man. And I'm used to it. I got in there at a very young age, and I went against Figueiredo at a very young age as well. So if I do get back in that picture, yeah, I think that it's Monkey God 2.0 that you're gonna see.
No, yeah, definitely. And you talk about just adding layers to your fight game, and I think I mean, I can only speak for myself, but I truly believe if the Monkey God is added to whatever division he fights in, one championship or the UFC, you are getting a tremendous athlete and a tremendous fighter at 125 and arguably up to 145, like you said. Wanting to challenge yourself, at any division it may be. I think that Jared Brooks is just an elite fighter personally. And when you talk about earlier, just I want to reiterate, you talk about going down the heel route a little bit and then coming back to just yourself. I think a lot of fans kind of recognize that the marketing is such a big part of the fight game now, unfortunately, and merit has kind of lost its way, that fighters have to kind of do some unconventional or unorthodox techniques to kind of get eyeballs on them. What do you make of just being able to be yourself again, not having to not necessarily put on a front, but you're able to be your true authentic self and let your performances speak for yourself? Is there kind of a relief or a breath or a lift taken off your shoulders in that case?
Yeah, I mean, in life, I've already had an ego death. I think the Monkey God needed an ego death, and I think the best way to do that was in Qatar, and that's what I'm gonna do, man. But your fight week, what else am I do I have to do? I'm already better than a lot of these guys, and that's the way that I truly feel as a mixed martial artist. So why do I have to tell this guy, and why do I have to tell the fans that? I'll just go out and prove it and show everybody like I do every time. But you know, some things just don't work out. The bad guy. I'm not a bad guy, bro. I'm just not. So I think that the best way to approach this mixed martial arts game, especially in one championship, is just be respectful and quiet and let the kicks do the speaking.
I gotta pivot off to a lighter note, and of course, killing the Monkey God in spirit, but not in essence. You are still a very great fighter. I gotta keep it reiterating that because, again, one of my favorite 125ers, personally speaking, and it's always a privilege to speak with you, Jared. And I feel like for you, when you talk about being remembered as just a great fighter and also, like you said, a great person, I feel like that's something that a lot of people in this fight game kind of lose sight of. And I know for you, especially with the birth of your daughter and, just having a family and leading a strong example in that front, it's really been bigger than ever. And having a newfound lease on life, I feel like is such a big thing for new dads. I want to ask you, just in terms of leading a strong example, not just for your family, but for the people around you, how do you want Jared Brooks to be remembered in the fight game?
I just want a 10-year-old kid to go on YouTube and study one of my fights. That's it.
Building the perfect fighter, and I want to ask you because I think this is a fun segment that we do on FightWave and just a fun little segment called Build a Fighter. I gotta ask you because I feel like we see a lot of people talking about building the perfect fighter, yet hardly do we ask the fighters who they think the perfect fighter is. Let's say you have 4 categories of IQ, striking, grappling, and cardio. Who is Jared Brooks' perfect fighter and why?
Yeah. I would say Jiu-Jitsu, Gary Tonin, or Cade Rutullo. You got cardio. I would definitely go with Demetrius Johnson or Marab Davalishvili. Boxing, we'll go with Max Holloway. Or Ian Tapora. I gotta give 2 in each man because yeah. Um, Kicks, I would say John Jones. He has best heaps. Mm, say, I don't know what more, bro. It's John Jones, period,
Oh
though.
yeah,
John Jones,
definitely.
the best.
I spoke to Robert Whitaker and he said, he's like, mate, John Jones for all of them. When you want to hand stitch a fighter, I don't think there's a better fighter that you could hand stitch quite like John Jones.
100%. And I've watched him since I was, what was, when I was like 12, since I was 12. So, and the guy isn't too much older than me. It's crazy.
And it's just crazy to think about, how far the sport has evolved. And I know people are very divisive on John Jones, but the impact that he's had on the sport with his fights, definitely one to keep an eye out on for the best to ever do it. I mean, in any conversation ever across combat sports, period. But, Jared, I want to thank you so much for your time. And I have two final questions for you, of course. One, I gotta ask, man versus dog. Why is the dog the best training partner on the mats? I know you have a video of you and your dog going head to head on the mats. Talk to me about just the quality of training partner that your pet companion brings, and also, when you look at this fight against Gustavo Ballart, what is your prediction? Not prediction for the fight, but what are your kind of hopes coming off of this fight?
Yeah, Louis, he's a G, man. Uh, he, you got to watch out though, because he has such a big mouth that he can literally grab your whole neck. So, it's more dangerous than you think going with him because I go at him with a very very hard persona, but yeah, he's the best, man. And if you don't watch your P's and Q's, he'll bite your ass. So, yeah, he's a great training partner. Gustavo Ballart, he's not too, I mean, I'm not talking shit, but he's not too much bigger, man. So yeah, uh he's Louis is a great training partner for me for this fight, especially. Gustavo is a pit bull though, bro. That guy has you gotta watch out. He'll throw a million strikes that are coming at you at a million miles an hour and they're powerful um every minute of that fight. Or he tries to hold. But both of those are pretty scary because you have somebody trying to hold you up against the fence and you can't do anything besides, give him those little rabbit taps, or he's coming at you a million miles an hour. So I'm super excited to show people that I can deal with that kind of fighter. And that's usually the fighter that I kind of am. I'm kind of at a million miles an hour, and then I take you down and I hit you and I try to submit you. But yeah, Gustavo Ballart and I are not the same though as far as mixed martial arts prowess, and I want to show that when it comes down to our little tussle on August 2nd.
No, yeah, definitely. And I cannot wait to watch that fight, Jared. Thank you so much for your time and always the honesty behind the fight game. I feel like that's one thing I love about you is you're brutally honest and you are, just the truest and exemplary example of, mixed martial arts at its purest form. Somebody who loves the game and just wants to continue to improve and add layers to his components and skill set. I thank you so much for your time. And to the fans at home watching, do be sure to check out Jared Brooks versus Gustavo Ballart on August 2nd. A fight for the ages. Do be sure to check out Jared on social media. Support your local fighter, as I always love to say. It goes a long way. It's been me, Dan, from FightWave. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed the interview. Do be sure to like, comment, subscribe, and have a great day, guys.